G'day! In today's video I'll be tearing down my brand new Asus FX505DU, which, as you can see, the model number, we are here. And what I'm going to be doing here is showing you how to change your RAM, how to change your thermal paste, and also how to change your hard drives. So to begin with, we're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver like this and somewhere to put your screws. And we'll start just by taking out all visible screws that are on here. Now, do note they are of different length. If I can get them out. Just comparing screws here. Same length, excellent. So once you've taken out 11 of the screws, along here at the front are the short screws, and there's a short screw here. The rest of these ones are long screws. So once we've done this, we need to pick a spot to pry. So I am going to start, I'll start at this front corner right here. As you can see with a nail in there, it does look like it will move. So I'm going to use a thin pry tool. You might be able to use an old expired bank card, or you could use a flathead screwdriver if you don't care about the plastic, which I very well may revert to that to open it. So right now, getting not a lot going on here. So I'll revert to a thin metal pry tool, just to start the initial prying process. So I'll use this one here, just a thin metal one, put it into the gap and just slide it along. I can twist it just slightly. As you can see, that's opening it. Now if I revert back to my proper pry tool, I should just be able to work around the machine. Once you get the majority of it released, you should almost be able to pry it by hand. So far, so good. There we go. And we are in. And as this machine is a second-hand machine, I was expecting a fair bit of dust, and that is what I have seen. So the fans themselves on this one are quite dusty. Zooming in down here, you can definitely see it in the fan over here. Also over here too. Now, looking at it, the copper cooler on here, I would assume that this here is the GTX 1660 Ti, and I'm assuming that would be the Ryzen chip. Now, looking at this as well, let's have a, before I start doing a bit of cleaning, let's have a bit of a board overview. So down here, under here, we have an Intel 660p series 512 gig SSD, or NVMe SSD. So to remove the NVMe, you should be able to fold this over. You'll be undoing the screw that's here. Undo the screw, And from there, your NVMe drive will automatically lift up. And wiggle it back, and we're out. Also under here, if you want to update your wireless card, which if I zoom in a bit further, I'm not sure what brand we are, but we've got AW-CB375NF. So from there, we'll take this tape off, and it may pull up the antennas. And as you can see, we have another screw right there. So we'll disconnect the antenna cables, undo that screw just as we did with the NVMe drive, and that would get us access to it from there. So to reinstall the NVMe, we go in at an angle like that, angle it in, push it down, and there we just tighten it up. And then looking at the battery, some of you might be looking going, why is there extra space here? There'd be an optional upgrade or a larger battery capacity that you could get for this model of machine. I'm not sure what watt hour it would be. This one's 48 watt hour. But there would be a larger battery that would go to here, potentially a larger battery without the hard drive tray in. So while I'm talking about the hard drive tray, this one here, I'm going to do one screw that's just out of frame. Phillips head screw, another Phillips head screw. And this will come out. So you'd be able to put a 2.5 inch drive into here. Which way do we go? Like so. This one's just a SSD I've got floating around. You'd be able to screw that in, or you may require screws to put that. I can't see them in this area here where they could be. Once you've got them, pretty much we line up these two areas. So we'll go like that. And we should just be able to push it in. From there, you'd put your two Phillips screws back in here and here, and you'd be able to add a 2.5 inch drive into your system for extra storage. Take that back out as I'm not wanting to do that myself. So right now we've covered the M.2 SSD, the wireless card, the battery, and the optional 2.5 inch drive. The next thing I'm going to cover is the RAM. So if we go over to here to this, just below the CPU and the GPU, here, we have two RAM slots, 1 and 2. Now typically you want both these to be filled so you can enable dual channel memory, and that would usually give you a good performance increase in games and various high performance stuff. So the minute this machine that I've purchased only has a single stick of RAM, which is a bit odd. If I zoom in on it, it's a 16 gig stick of 2666 megahertz. Doesn't actually mention the cache latency, which is a bit annoying, but it is what it is. So at the moment, this would be giving me slightly inadequate performance. I am wanting to upgrade this to more than likely 2 8s, which at the moment I don't have any on hand, or potentially just another 16 in 2666 megahertz. So to install these, we do very similar to the M.2. We push it on an angle, do take note of this notch here and this notch here. We angle it in and push the two corners down, and you'll see these two metal tabs here and here click in. We're installed. That's all you need to do. You don't need to do anything special in the BIOS. Once it's physically plugged in, it's done. It's upgraded. It's installed. Now, looking over to the right here, we have the connection for the display. we have a CMOS battery with a bit of dust on it. So it's a fairly standard size. It's a CR2032. Excellent. Going up the side here, we have the power jack right here, the DC jack, which on this model is removable. So if we follow it up, we trace it, it wiggles, and we're going over to here. So if you undid the hinge, unplugged it from down here, you'll be able to lift this up and replace your DC jack on the side or AC jack on the side. So next up, I'm wanting to take off the CPU cooler. But I'm going to go give it a bit of a dust blowout first, and then I'll proceed with replacing the thermal paste. So let's get into replacing this thermal paste. So I'll start over here, work my way around. Hopefully the fans aren't required to come off. Say goodbye to our warranty sticker. With the dust blowout, a fair bit of dust did actually come out, so that should help lower the temperatures as well. Now that looks like it will lift. Excellent. Proceed over here and continue. Now the screw size does look to be identical with all of these, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue or a drama if you mix them up. Now, let's see how we can get this off. Just wiggling. Now actually looking over here, on the far side just out of frame, trying to figure out where the CPU, the wireless antenna cables are actually running. So we will need to disconnect those antenna cables. So we'll go back, take out the M.2. And one of two options here. I'm going to go with the easier of the two options is to undo the wireless card itself and leave the antenna cables connected. And I'm just going to wiggle that loose. Lift this little bit up here. And get them out of the way. Go. Bingo. Now we've got lift off. So look at that, we've got thermal paste, thermal pads. And as I say, thermal pads, that is not a thermal pad. It's almost like a little bit of thermal paste. A bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this group on here, and I will replace this and this and this and this. So to do that, I'll start by moving these out of the way. I'm going to use some tissue paper, some isopropyl alcohol. You mightn't necessarily need to use that, but my habit of using it. There we go, we've cleared one. Let's go on to number 2 here. Now, this paste feels fairly dry. Being this is about a 1-year-old machine, it's usually about the time that I'd consider replacing the thermal paste, even if I hadn't just bought this second hand. Excellent. So what I'm going to do as well is I am going to use this to try and push. Actually, I've got something a bit smaller. It might be a bit better. Not quite what I had in mind, but this will do. Push that just to center everything. So when it's pushed back down, it should hopefully push it out or back over the chip. Either way, it'll be slightly better than where it currently is. Yeah, it's weird, it's not quite a thermal paste. It has a slight sandy texture to it, or feel to it. It does surprise me it's not a thermal pad though. And down here there's not too much I can do. There we go. So now I'll move this out of the way. And over to the main event. Give us a spray. Give us a spray. That is very dry on there. Now, I do suspect there is a fair bit more thermal paste under this black tape. Yes, we are. So that tape has definitely failed at doing what it's meant to be doing. I'm just going to go over it with a toothbrush. Normally that does clear up the rest of the thermal paste without doing really anything to the chip at all. Make sure I flick out the rest of that thermal paste that's in there. I'm happy with that. I'll move over to the CPU. which it does to also look to be a massive mess of thermal paste. So I find it ironic that they have this tape on there to protect it from getting to it, yet it still gets to it anyway. So kind of pointless. There we go, I'm mostly happy with that now. I'm actually looking at this one. There we go. That's better. I'll put down some new thermal paste. Give it a quick spread. Now typically I wouldn't be this concerned about spreading thermal paste. Being I no longer have that black tape in place, it may spread further than intended. And same with the AMD chip over here. I'm just trying to get as much coverage as I can without using, trying to use bugger all thermal paste. Okay, I'm happy with that. So from here, it's time to reinstall the cooler. We go around this way. You do need to get the antenna cable out of the way. And I'm just going to try and wiggle it down. Angle it under the plastic. Over here. Push down. Slight wiggle over here too. There we go. I'm going to push here and here. I'm going to take it off again. And let's see how we spread. Pretty darn spot on with what you want. Now I'm going to reinstall it. Antenna cable out of the way. Not quite, now it is. Angle it down here. And we're in. So from here, I'm going to put Where are they? Start putting the GPU screws back in. I'm just going to do them loosely to begin with, and then I'll go around and torque them. I do know that the warranty sticker was in a different spot, but I don't really care. Still the same length screw, won't matter. So now I'm just going to tighten up 8, 7, 5 and 6. Now I'm going to tighten up 1, 2, 3, and now 4. So with that from here, I'm going to have to rerun the antenna cables. Under here, out of the way. And I'll lift up that flap once more. Across, under, wireless card back in. Go. It was the small black screw out of the bunch. Put it this back in there. M.2 back in. Push down. And find your screw for that. I've just misplaced it. There it is. Excellent. So right now I'm mostly done with it. The fans are all still attached. The copper coolers are installed and down. New thermal paste. Wireless cards installed. M.2's back installed. My RAM's there. Haven't touched that. Battery's good. From here I'm right to put the back cover back on here, which is this. So I'm going to slide it over the back first, work my way from the back to the front. Just pinching it as I work around. For some reason we're not sealing up here. There we go. So from here, we need to put our remaining black screws back into position. Big ones go at the back. And then the other two big ones go to the sides. Little one in the middle, and the remaining four go across the front. Hopefully from here, you've successfully done one of the following. Change to thermal paste, upgraded your M.2 NVMe, changed your wireless card, added a 2.5-inch hard drive, upgraded your RAM, changed your charger port. So hopefully this can be used for multiple purposes, this video. Anyway, that will do me for today. In the future, I'm going to add another stick of 16 gig 2666. But for now, I'm done. Hope this helps you, and I'll see you guys in another video. Bye.